Students, today we will discuss the poem A Photograph written by Shirley Tolson. I would like you to open up your books as we discuss the poem. When we talk about a photograph or when we use this word photograph, there are so many things that come to our mind. A scene captured, a moment captured, mood captured, memory captured, happy or sad. Photographs are the way or the source through which we can relive the past, for they have captured a moment. In this poem, A Photograph, Shirley Tolson talks about a photograph of a mother when her mother was a child, and along with her two cousins, she went for her sea holiday. Now let's discuss the poem in detail. Shirley Tolson writes, "The cardboard shows me how it was when the two girl cousins went paddling, each one holding one of my mother's hands." See, the expression cardboard. She has used this word cardboard for the photograph. For this photograph is mounted on a cardboard. So she says, "The cardboard shows me how it was when the two girl cousins went paddling." How many girls are mentioned here? Yes, poet's mother and then the two girl cousins. So three of them went for a sea holiday. In this photograph, they are shown standing by the seaside. So they had gone for a sea holiday and they were walking in the shallow water. Now, for this particular photograph, three of them stood still, each one holding one of my mother's hands. Now, one more thing I would like to see, why are they holding mother's hand? Uh, Mother is the eldest of the three. And more maybe for comfort and security, these two little girls, they are holding her mother's hands. And yes, see, she has mentioned, and she, the big girl, some 12 years or so. What is the age of the mother when she went for a sea holiday? She is 12 years old. All three stood still to smile through their hair at the uncle with the camera. So three of them stood still and they smiled because one of the uncles, he was clicking their snap. Now let's read this line again. All three stood still to smile. See the sound saw, which is repeated. And what do we call it? We call it alliteration, the repetition of the same sound. So this is the poetic device used here. All three stood still. Why are they standing still? Because their photograph is being captured. Who is clicking their snap? Uncle is clicking their snap. Now, see the phrase through their hair. What do we mean by through their hair? See, they are on a seaside. The sea breeze is blowing, sorry. The sea breeze is blowing, and hence their hair are falling on their face. So, through their hair, they are smiling at their uncle with the camera. A sweet face. Whose face is referred to as sweet face? Yes. Poet's mother's. What is the age of the mother? 12 years. My mother. That was before I was born. When was the photograph clicked? When poet's mother herself was a child. Why does the poet say a sweet face? Definitely. Her mother is 12 years old, that innocence is there. And then she's talking about her mother. So definitely she will find her mother sweet. And the sea, now see here, very important lines. And the sea, which appears to have changed less, washed their terribly transient feet. In these lines, the poet talks about how human beings are mortal and how nature is immortal. He talks about the transient nature of human being and the permanent nature of nature. In these lines, the poet says, as they were standing by the seaside, the waves of the sea coming towards them were washing their feet. The way the sea waves washed their feet, in the same way, the waves of time, the tides of time, washed away their existence from this world. Terribly transient feet. This is transferred epithet. Terribly transient feet, basically, it's not talking about the temporary nature of the feet. He's talking about how temporary the human life is. And over here, very clearly, the poet has said, nature is immortal, whereas human beings are mortal. That particular way, the way the tides of the sea washed their feet, and even the imprints of the feet, in the same way, the tides of time has washed away their existence from the world. Next stanza. Some 20, 30 years later. 20, 30 years later of what? Of this particular incident. Going to the sea beach. So that means what is the age of mother? Now in this particular paragraph, 12 plus 20, 30. So calculate. Some 20, 30 years later, she would laugh at the snapshot. Who would laugh at the snapshot? She. Who is she here? Mother. She would look at that snap where she, along with her two cousins, is captured or depicted, and she would laugh at the snapshot. And she would say, see Batty and Dolly. Batty and Dolly are the names of her cousins. See Batty and Dolly, she would say, and look how they dressed up for the beach. She would laugh at the way they were dressed up. Their parents were orthodox and they were dressed up in a very conservative way, or maybe they were dressed up so that their photograph is to be clicked. So she would laugh at the way they were dressed up for the beach. Now, why did she laugh? She laughed because she remembered the good old days. And she laughed definitely at the way they were dressed up. The sea holiday was her past. Mine is her laughter. Poet is talking about two pasts here. The past of her mother and the past of the poet. What is the past of the mother? Going for a sea holiday. And what is the past of the poet? Past of the poet is watching her mother, looking at the snapshot and laughing because her mother is no more now. The sea holiday was her past, mine is her laughter. Now see, both wry with the labored ease of loss. Beautiful lines. The sea holiday was her past, mine is her laughter. Already I said that first past we are talking about is of the mother when she went for her sea holiday. And second past is when poet's mother was alive and poet would look at her mother, looking at the picture and laughing. Now, both wry. No doubt, when her mother looked at the photograph, she would laugh. Poet looks at the photograph and she remembers her mother laughing and she also laughs. But both these laughters have an undercurrent of sadness, an undercurrent of melancholy. That is why this laughter is slightly twisted, wry, because there is sadness attached to it. Mother would laugh, but there would be an undercurrent of sadness because she would miss the beautiful old days. Poet looks at the photograph and laughs, but she misses her mother. And poet talks about the human nature here. He says, she says, with the labored ease of loss. We human beings, we fight, we struggle, and we learn to accept the loss and we move ahead. This is what has happened. This is what happened to the poet and the mother. They fought, they struggled, they learnt to accept the loss and move ahead. Over here, the poet has used oxymoron. See, labored ease of loss. Labored ease. Paradoxical words. Labored ease. So this is oxymoron. Now, if we again see in the first stanza, poet talks about the past of the mother. In the second stanza, the poet talks about her past when she would look at her mother, looking at the photographs. Now, the last stanza. Now she has been dead nearly as many years as that girl lived. It's almost 12 years. She's no more. And of this circumstance, there is nothing to say. Which circumstance the poet is talking about? The circumstance of death. It says we cannot say anything about death. We cannot fight death. We cannot debate about death. We cannot say anything about death. When it comes, and we have to accept it. And of this circumstance, there is nothing to say at all. It's silence, silences. It's death. Silence puts everything on mute. This is the latest word that we use. It's silence, silences. Death takes away from us all the power to explain, to speak. It leaves no other way but to accept death. It's silence, silences. The same way, death has taken away all the power from the poet to express herself in words. And in this particular line, it's silent, silences. Poet has used personification. And if you see in this poem, there is irony also. Irony. Both smile, but the smile has undercurrent of sadness. So in this poem, if we talk about poetic devices, we used alliteration, we used transferred epithet, then the poet has used oxymoron, personification, and then there is great irony. Children, I would like you to write 3 questions in your classwork copy. First, what has the camera captured? I repeat, I'm speaking very slow, so you should be able to write down these fast. What has the camera captured? Second question, which 3 different phases are depicted in the 3 stanzas? Which 3 different phases are depicted in the 3 stanzas? First, is the past of mother, second is the past of poet, and third, the present of the poet. And what is the mood in the poem? It is sad. What is the setting of the poem? So, setting of photograph is definitely a sea beach. Now, over here we can say it's the room, maybe the living room of the poet where this photograph is kept. And third question, how does the poem photograph contrast the eternal state of nature and the transitory state of human beings? Poet has used this expression, no? And the sea which appears to have changed less. In the photograph also, the sea appears the same as it appears today. Sea has not changed. Sea here represents nature. Nature does not change. But we human beings grow old and die. We are mortal, whereas nature is immortal. Thank you.